I'm live. Hello. Welcome to episode 2 of Live Wednesdays. Well, here we are amidst a global pandemic. What a time to be alive. I love quoting my wife. When we were in school together, she used to always say, "What a time to be alive." And sometimes it was sarcastic, but I think sometimes she was being genuine. I think. Anyway, yeah. Wednesday Lives, this is, should I wait to tell you what this is? There's 2 people here. Welcome. Let me know who you are in the comments, because on YouTube Live, I can't actually tell who's here unless you post a comment. So let me know. Hi, 2 friends. It was a challenge to get this one live today because YouTube is very stringent about how many subscribers you have to be able to go live from your phone. So I have to use my laptop to go live, but that's okay. Jacob May. Wow. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Kind of. Good to be seen by you. Shirley Defferting. Hi, Shirley. Nice to see you. Yeah. So Wednesday, guys, let me know how you're doing with this whole stay-at-home situation. Like, what's going on in your life? How has the current season impacted you? I know for us at this house, we are definitely finding that it's requiring more diligence to stay in a healthy space of mind than whatever normal life is. Ooh, wife is here. Hi, wife. I love you. Yeah, which is kind of like what I've been thinking about this week. So coming up this week, I've got, we're doing this live right now. Tomorrow I've got a blog post coming out. That blog post is called "It's a Song, Not a Battle." And I'm referring to, like, every time that we see the Lord, like when we see Jesus actually interacting with like demonized people, he operates out of compassion. Like, he's never against them, if that makes sense. Like, he's never in a place where he needs to battle against humanity in any way. So yeah, so the blog post is called "It's a Song, Not a Battle." Yeah, and even like my experience, like doing deliverance with people kind of all over the world, my experience of like the most powerful deliverance sessions, like, it's never a fight. It's always for the person who's being delivered, and it's always beautiful. Like, it's always, the love of God is so present in those moments. I mean, I'm crying just thinking about it. But deliverance is a song, man. It's like in Zephaniah 3:17, it talks about the Lord singing songs of deliverance over his people. And so I just think, like, the Lord, he's so hilariously beyond anything that we actually have to deal with in life. He's so like dramatically bigger than anything that anything else that exists that's created, that like he doesn't actually have to battle. He doesn't have to go to war. I mean, like, he literally, the whole plan with Jesus, like, he embarrassed all of the rulers and powers and principalities and dark authorities in the heaven realm or whatever. He completely embarrassed them with what he did. They never even knew his plan. His plan was like deeper and further and way dramatically, most like ridiculously better than they ever even imagined what he was trying to do. Yeah, so that's what we can expect from him in the future, But so this week, yeah, so there's that blog coming out tomorrow, and then there's another episode of Jeff Barkman Talks About Things on Friday. That's going to be episode 2 in my little mini series about hearing the voice of God, because I've had a whole bunch of people asking me to create more content on that, because they've heard my stories, my testimonies of the way that I've heard the voice of God and how powerfully it's impacted my life, and how like profuse my transformation's been from following the voice of God. And I think it's creating a level of hunger, which I find really encouraging. So I'm super pleased to make content on hearing the voice of God. If you guys let me know in the comments, people who are going to watch this later, or people who are watching now, all good. Let me know in the comments if there's like a certain angle that you want me to hit the concept of hearing the voice of God. But we're also in a kind of an epoch season right now, which means that there's acceleration available to us for certain things. And I think that anytime you get into a season where there is pressure, it squeezes out of us what our authentic beliefs are. And in those seasons where we're finding out that maybe some of the authentic beliefs that we have in the depths of our heart aren't that great, that can be kind of devastating, to be honest. It can be really disappointing. Maybe you thought you were further along than you're finding that you are. But the good news is that when gross stuff comes up in our heart, like anger or frustration, or like feelings of rebellion, or like feelings of just angst or whatever, when these things come up in our heart, it's actually not that we're so sinful and so bad. It's the Lord revealing the truth about ourselves to us. And the reason that he's doing it in that timing is because there's a grace available to you in those moments to actually go after that thing that has come up in your heart. And one of the big reasons that people get stuck in negative cycles in their life is because when that stuff comes up in their heart, they're like, oh, this is me. And it's not you. It's just this thing that's come up in your heart that the Lord wants to deal with. So I just want to encourage anybody that's seeing this video, pay attention to what you're experiencing during this season, because there's an invitation right now to a deeper level of intimacy with the Lord. And it's going to come from processing these emotions and these experiences of the narrative that we believe that we're in. It's going to come from that place. And when you process your anger or your fear with the Lord, I mean, I'm telling you, I had an encounter this like maybe a week and a half ago where I couldn't stop picturing my death from COVID-19 in my mind. I was wrestling with a spirit of fear. I was wrestling with a spirit of death. And I ended up saying, at some point, it took me a little while to realize what was going on, but I ended up saying, listen, you spirit of fear, I see you and I send you back. You spirit of death, I see you and I send you back. The narrative of my life is not that I'm going to die of a disease before I hit 40. That's not reality. That's not the narrative that we're living in. Does that mean that I'm going to go out and be ridiculous and like start like getting people to lick me in the face? Definitely not. Wisdom would say that that would be stupid, right? So the absence of fear in a situation that is dangerous is the definition of naivety. Wisdom is counter to naivety. Cynicism and naivety, they love to partner together. Cynicism says you can't trust anybody, and naivety says you can trust anybody. But those two things like to work in tandem, in the same way that wisdom and innocence like to work in tandem. And so I would just encourage you to partner with the spirit of wisdom, who is Jesus, and that spirit of innocence, and just process with the Lord those things that are coming up in your heart. Because when I took that fear of death to the Lord, he's the one who told me the narrative of my life. The reason that I'm now able to, with strength, believe that the narrative of my life is that I will not die in this season. Because of that, I can feel that belief. I can live from that belief, but I'm still going to live with wisdom, and I'm going to be conscious of my impact on the earth and in my community. So I just want to encourage you to press in. Like in Exodus 20, I think it is, Exodus 18, maybe somewhere around there, when the people of Israel, the Lord reveals himself on top of the mountain in fire and smoke, and it's super scary, and there's like loud trumpets blasting, and he actually laid out the line, the safe line, and said, stand right there. He showed them the closest they could get to his physical presence without dying. And it scared the heck out of them. And they decided that they wanted actually distance because of the discomfort. They were invited into intimacy, and they chose distance because of discomfort. And so I just feel like there's a beautiful invitation in this squeezy time for us to step into greater levels of intimacy with the Lord. And so I just encourage you to take the bull by the horns and take your pain and your anger and your frustration and whatever feelings are coming up, process them with the Lord, take them to the Lord, and let him show you what's real and what's true. I went off on a tangent there. I'm going to see if I have any other notes for stuff I'm supposed to cover here. Yeah, guard your heart. Yeah, I can't be watching tons of news anymore. So there's so much anxiety. There's so many people who are in media who have an agreement with a spirit of anxiety that are writing these news articles, and it's just attached a spirit of anxiety to these articles. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like a news source from the far left or the far right or anywhere in between. There's a bunch of people who are super anxious, and they're like barfing the anxiety into what they're writing, and trying to feed it to us. So I would just encourage you to like guard your heart, take stock of what you're experiencing, recognize that you're in a season right now that requires more of you than normal life. And so it's going to take more diligence. It's going to take more intentionality to thrive in this place. But if you push that intentionality into the Father's heart, if you intentionally push into the Father's heart with the stuff that's coming up, you're gonna see massive breakthrough in your life in the realm of hearing the voice of God, in the realm of like intimacy with God. You're gonna start hearing the voice of God like way more times throughout your day in completely unexpected situations. The other day when I was filming one of the videos, I think it was the episode of Talks About Things that came out this last Friday. I like randomly was trying to think about questions to ask the Lord when you're learning how to hear his voice. And the question that I said when I was filming was, how are you doing today? I was trying to tell people, like, maybe don't ask the Lord like just kind of easy questions like, how are you doing today? But when I said, how are you doing today? Holy Spirit responded, laughing and laughing and laughing. And he was like, I'm doing great, buddy. I'm doing great. And it cracked me up, because I was like, yeah, you're always doing really great. That's a great question to ask, actually. Ask the Lord how he's doing today, especially in those scary moments where you're like, man, I'm afraid right now. Ask the Lord if he's afraid. He's not afraid. He's completely at ease, because he knows that the narrative of your story is actually safe in his hand. And it's a beautiful thing. Well, we've got somebody else. Let me know if you're here on the live thing here. Just shoot me a comment to let me know that you're here. I'd love to say hi to you. I'd love to know who's here for the actual live portion of this thing. I guess people will watch this video after it's not live anymore, and that's okay too. You guys are welcome as well. Oh yeah, I wrote down the struggle is not against flesh and blood. In my Facebook newsfeed, I've been seeing a whole bunch, and it's like the unlikeliest people that you'd think are posting some stuff. And it just feels really like antagonistic, and it feels like people are in some kind of a battle in their mind. And like, Jesus was never like that. Let's say the worst case scenario, your mysterious, like they, whoever that is, let's say they're all demonized. It still doesn't warrant any kind of response where we're like against them. If you look at the way Jesus treated the demonized people, he treated them with compassion. You know, he even like, I don't know. It's just like he talked about turning the other cheek. Like, even if people are wronging us, which may not even be the case, we don't really know, because there's so much chaos in the earth that you can't really tell what's up and what's down. I would say that, you know, the good news is that truth is a person, and his name is Jesus. And he went to the most extreme lengths to make it possible for us to be experientially in relationship with God. Like, nothing that's hidden is hidden so that it will remain hidden. Everything that's hidden is only hidden to be revealed. And so if you're seeing these narratives and feeling the anxiety behind those narratives, I would suggest that you ask the Lord what he thinks about those narratives, because reality, ultimate reality, is that God works all things together for the good of those who love him. And so there isn't a narrative, any narrative that denies that is not real. Does that make sense? I mean, you can't really answer me immediately, but does it make sense? Any narrative that is counter to the voice of God isn't real. Done. And so that actually empowers us to connect to his voice, which is going to perpetuate peace and joy. Supernatural peace, supernatural joy. That's the atmosphere of heaven. That's the atmosphere of truth. That's the atmosphere of reality. Like, reality is so much better than we can possibly fathom. That when I expect the voice of God, one of the ways that I can actually recognize the voice of God is that it's coming from a point of view that is infinitely beyond my most daring hope. That is the narrative of reality, because of who he really is, who we really are, and because of his wisdom, power, and goodness. Anyway, I think I'm done preaching. I'm tired of preaching. Man, we spent the day here. As you may know, I serve on the leadership team with my wife, Megan, at Rock Creek Church. And man, we've been having meetings kind of a lot of the day just to kind of talk about, like, strategically speaking, like, we're seeing, a wide response in terms of how other churches are responding to this whole COVID-19 thing. And it's kind of like, well, where are we at? How are we going to respond? And like, ultimately, we're responding in a place where we will not grasp for control. We recognize that we're not in control of the situation. But we trust the one who is, we trust the one who is and was and is to come, to be working all things together for our good, and to be working from, beyond the boundaries of reality as we perceive it. Meaning, like, he doesn't need you to understand all the details of how he's going to come through for you to come through for you. I remember when I was in ministry school, he was showing me that he was going to provide for me. And there were months where I remember one month specifically. This was crazy. Yeah, I hadn't had any money come into my hands for quite some time. And I was expecting, like, rent money to show up somehow, because that's what had been happening for the whole time I'd been in school for that year. And the deadline for rent came and went, and nothing had come in. And I remember going to bed that night and just processing, like, how painful that was, because the Lord was trying to show me that he was going to provide for me. But then he didn't show up in time for the deadline. And as I was processing it with him, where my heart actually landed was that I must have misunderstood what the authentic deadline is then. Ridiculous. Like, that thought did not come from my mind. And so, I went to bed. This was the night of the 1st. Rent was due on the 1st. I went to bed that night, processing my pain with the Lord. And in whatever exchange happened there, I came to the conclusion that my deadline was the thing that was wrong. I didn't misunderstand that the Lord was going to provide, because he identifies himself as God who provides. So I refused to question his nature, and instead I decided that what my perception of reality was the thing that could bend. And that night, I slept like a baby because we had a conversation. The voice of God speaks truth into your heart, and you can believe it. It's reality. He shifts your understanding of what reality is with his voice. Slept like a baby, woke up to a message from a friend that said that he literally had a dream where God told him to send, I can't remember the exact number, but it was in Canadian dollars. It was like $543.62 or something like that. And when I did the conversion, it worked out to the exact American dollar amount of my rent. Madness, absolute madness. But what happened in that story is my understanding of what's stronger than my perception of reality is the voice of God. And so that's why I'm trying to push everybody in this really trying season where it's super easy to feed our perception all sorts of chaos. I'm trying to push us actually to let our perception of reality slide a little bit, because it doesn't matter that much. You know, none of us are fully perceiving 100% ultimate reality. We have our perception. I like to say that perception is like a boat that we use on the sea of reality. You know, if you think about it like a point of view, like the breadth of your vision, you can't see outside of your peripheral vision. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying like the boundaries of perception, like beyond the things that you've even fathomed, beyond the things that you've imagined. The Lord is working to your good, if that makes sense. And that's reality, and you can latch onto that, actually. It's called faith. Anyway, Brianna. Oh, hi. That's nice. Yeah, so don't eat the chaos. Watch what's coming up in your heart and go to the Lord and process with him and enjoy new levels of intimacy with God. Hey, Donna, thanks. Thanks for watching. That's so nice. Oh, man, I miss you guys. Right. Well, for those of you who are going to watch this video later, let me know what you thought in the comments. I'm going to keep on doing live videos every Wednesday. I might switch to 4 o'clock. Let me know if you guys have an opinion on like what time of day is best. Just let me know, and I will shift my schedule to do that. For those of you who are part of Rock Creek Church, Pastor James and I filmed a conversation. We just had a conversation today because we were noticing that many things are happening, and the times require a response from us. So yeah, and I'll tell you what. Here, I'll give you content on this YouTube live that I left out of the conversation on the Rock Creek Church page. There's a moment in that conversation where I was gonna make a really off-color joke, and I chose not to. But I'll share it here because I do think it's legitimately funny. So James was saying, he's like, I don't think that our society is in the place where rebellion is necessary yet. And I just thought to myself, you know, this whole pandemic thing, like, it's been so out of left field. And so like I mean, on the one hand, I guess we could have expected something like as early as maybe December-ish is I think when the news first started reporting it. But I'm just like, it just feels kind of like a zombie apocalypse. And so I'm just like, no, this is so bad. I can't share this. I'm just like, the only way things could get worse. This is so terrible. I can't do it. I won't do it. Well, if there were zombies, that would be the worst. Then things would get really crazy. But even then, I don't think that we would need to rebel. I think then we just need to get guns and shoot the zombies. But would we? Or would we get a cure and just build fences? Man, what do you guys think? What would we do if it was a zombie apocalypse? I'm not saying this is the apocalypse. I'm just wondering what you would do in a zombie apocalypse now. I like to get off on tangents. Let me know in the comments what you would do if this were a zombie apocalypse. I literally have a friend in Canada. Thank you. I literally have a friend in Canada who has like a bug out bag and like a crossbow. In case he had this stuff like 5 years ago. In case of a zombie apocalypse, like legitimately, this is what he is like. In case of a zombie apocalypse, this is why I have this stuff. Crazy. I think what I would do is I would go camping somewhere so high up that definitely no zombies were going to actually have the fortitude to make that hike. I think that's what I would do. Brianna says, I'm pretty sure I would not last very long. Yeah, that's probably true. All right. Oh, no. Yeah, Megan, oh, Jeff. I know. It's just, you got to make these jokes sometime. Maybe it's too soon. I don't know. Anyway, hey, have any of you, do any of you that are watching right now know anybody who contracted COVID? Personally, I have 2 friends in London who I used to work with, who are both kind of in different stages of recovery, but they're waiting for their sense of taste to come back. So that for me that would be sad. There's a product I think called like Soylent or something like that. Like it's some kind of beige drink that you can drink instead of having food. And I think I'd probably just do that then, because it's like ice cream is just cold and nothing else. Sad. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I love you guys. Thanks for coming and watching my live thing. And we'll see you next week. Blog tomorrow. New episode of Jeff Barkman Talks About Things on Friday. Bless you.